I guess we are live. Hello, everyone. You can see me. Okay, so today we would be focusing trying to create Space Invaders game. Would be creating the Space Invaders game in Python and Pygame. So hopefully by 1 hour we can try to implement. Um, let's see. Invaders, for those who don't know, is a 2D game that was popular in 98, I think. So it's an old Atari game. So it's a shoot them up Atari arcade video game. But it's a fun game to play and it's a good game to implement starting off simple game development. So using the library Pygame, we can implement this. So I would be creating a basic version of screen in like 1 hour. So I will walk you through the entire process of how we approach this. Going to be using Pygame. Okay, let's give me a second. I'm going to set up a timer. Okay. Um, so right. Um, so let me open up Visual Studio Code and then see how all this. Uh, Go to my development folder. So is I create Studio Code in the app, and then let's see how. So first we're going to import Pygame. So the latest version of Pygame of right now is 2.6. The boilerplate code that applies Pygame window. So in this line, what I'm doing is I'm setting up the array. So I would be passing a tuple which has a width and a height. So define a 800, find hello, and then place a Pygame dot, and then whether it's run. So while running, is the game loop. So this would go on forever. Basically, we will fill our screen with vivid color. Then pygame.display flip. So what flip does is that it updates the screen. So it updates the screen every frames per second. So limits the FPS to 60. So what this means is that every second this thing is going to run 60 frames are displayed per second. And then we can run this thing. First we need to call this method to free up any memory or reallocate certain things. Then yeah, this is the basic Pygame app. Let me open up terminal and it works. If I run this whole thing, you can see there's a window that is created, red color, and we can't close this window. That is because we need to handle that event. So events in Python, Pygame, handled as follows. We loop through loop through all the events that are occurred in a frame, and then if the event dot type is equal to pygame quit. So this event is called whenever the user clicks on the closes the window. We say running is false, and when running is false, this loop terminates. Then the quit method is called. Now we can close it. We can close the window. That's good. Then we need to do. Okay, so we have created a basic application, but now we need to do much more. So one thing I want to do is to change the title of the window. So it says Pygame window, but I need to display something. So how can we do that? So to do that, we need to go look into the documentation. There's play in here. I forget whether it was on display or the um, pygame.display. So it accepts a title and even icon title. Yeah, set caption. So we can do something like this before running everything. We can do pygame.display. In here we can pass in our title of our game. See, this title changes. And put this as black because in the original game the background was black. So change that back. The Pygame by default have some hard-coded colors. But if you want to make custom colors, you can do it so by using color object. So I can say something like black equal to color 000. These RGB values. So pygame.color, right? And then we can use this variable here. Then it will do the same thing. See there, you get a black background. So that's the basics of Pygame, and now we need to actually go ahead and implement this whole thing. So this is what it looks like game. So over here we have a score, we keep a score, and then we have some aliens over here, and then we have some barriers, protection barriers here. Then we have the player over here. So first I would create like a rectangle to denote the player, and some other rectangles to denote the enemies. So I could do something like this. First I need to create a class called the player, which would show the values that are related to the player. So for example, the player, the initial position of the player, we can have some XY coordinates that has the current position of the player. And we can even pass in default arguments for them. Default arguments where the player would be standing. So be like 400, which is in the middle of the screen. Then Y position would be towards the ground. The player is like somewhere over here, so it's in the middle of the screen and towards the bottom of it. So coordinates in the window works like this. So the top corner is the origin, which is at 0, 0, and we need to move our player here, right? So how can we do that? So what we do is we so it's 0, 0. So if it increases the y, if the y increases, that means the y value becomes positive. So the height is 800, then this point would, the y value would be 800, this portion the y value would be 0. So somewhere here would be like 700 or something. So the y can be 700, and then that's then the color of the player, we can define like a color. Okay, so player color, so player color would be like something like RGB. So if so this would be like a green color, that's RGB. So R would be red, green, and then blue. So when I say it's 255, that means the like really green. You can control the amount of greenness that we have by 100 or something. The default color, then move the player self and speed. You would have self.y equal. So it would move the player. Then we have another function that like draws the player. Draw player. So draw player would draw the player on the screen. So how can we draw something on the screen with Pygame? So the player is like a rectangle. So Pygame has a class called rectangle, and rectangle has left, top, height. Okay, so we would also need to pass in the width. The we would need to store those values here. These are the width and the height of the player. And right. So left and top is basically x and y. So x is left, y is the top. Then we have the width. So left is again the left, and then so the yeah, we need the left self dot x, the self dot y, the width and the height. So the width and the height of the, by default I would just everything 20. So 20 pixel rectangle, and then I think we can like turn this thing. Yeah, so that's the player. So let's see if we can like initiate a play object. So I don't need to pass in any parameters because I have some default parameters that I pass in. But if you want, we can like change the default parameters. But if we don't pass any arguments in, take the default parameter. Yeah. So afterwards, do is we can. I think we can draw the play. So let's try to do that. So here is the place that we need to render the game. The game here. So anything that we draw, we need to draw over here. So what happens is we draw something and then the frame updates, then it goes to the next frame. Likewise, and like if we draw the player here, it won't draw anything because it just returns a rectangle. So the rectangle we need to draw on the screen. So how can we do that? To draw something on the screen, what we need is we need to use this Pygame draw rectangle. It needs a surface, needs some other things. Draw that. So our surface is the screen. So the screen is like the canvas that we draw in. And then in the colors. So okay. So I think it's better to get, so this is just a get rect function, and then for player, this would be a different function, which would have a surface. So the surface is what we draw in, and it would just call pygame.draw.rect surface self.player player color, and then self.get. So something like this. And then this method we can call into our function, and then we can pass in this. I think this would then draw the player. We need to see, so it doesn't draw anything. Divide. Okay, so I think this statement should come over here. Then we need to draw. Okay, so now it works. You can see a small green color rectangle over here. Right. So that is happening. That's fine. So maybe I could increase the width of this. Okay, so that is like our player, and then here we can like control the player. So if event.type is the left button, we can move the player to the left, to the right. So what we can do is, Pygame we have like have events. So in events we can see what events. Uh, uh, yeah, right. Mhm. Okay, so these are all the constants that we have. So I think this is like a lookup table that we um, and then so this is like a lookup table. So what keys is, it's like an array of like false, false, true kind of values that are there. And whenever a key is pressed, that specific index becomes true. So the index, so these are constants. They start from 0, 1, 2, and we can quickly look up if the value is pressed by the user, if a key is pressed by the user. So I'm trying to see the constant for the left key. So it's this one. So okay. So if Pygame, if keys, Pygame dot keys dot one, then just print like left key is, if keys Pygame dot keys dot, so if the right key is pressed, just key. So we do something like this. I think we can test it out. Uh, oh yeah, this should be uh, um, Pygame dot locals. Okay, so this is where all the constants are there. So I can just import this from pygame dot everything, and then I don't need to do this kind. It's what. So when I press the left key, I will show you what happens. The left key is pressed. When I press the right key, the right key is pressed. So likewise, we can get the inputs, so which is convenient. And then actually we can move our player. So basically, to move the player, so here actually we can define the speed as a attribute of the player. So like yeah, 2 pixels, speed is 2 pixels. So whenever the key is suppressed, it would move either to the right or to the left by 2 pixels. Then the direction is false. So if direction is, then c equal c times equal minus 1. Then we just, so if the direction is false, if the direction false, but so it means if the direction is false, that player moves to the right, otherwise to the, so something like this. So here we can just say so this is basically left is left press, simply this thing. So then player move left pressed. If the left key is pressed, move to the left, press move. So let's see if we run. It doesn't. It doesn't. Oh right, yeah, yeah. So we can't do this. Basically, yeah, we need to keep this thing because we only need to move the player if only one of these keys are pressed. Something else is pressed, then do this. So but we can simplify the logic, right? Then a player dot move is to do something like this. Okay, so one so it's going up because we are updating the y as well. Okay, so now it's working, but it's quite slow. So I would a bit slow. So there is a slight problem here. So when we press the key only it works. So that is a problem. So if we hold down the key, it doesn't work. So what we can do there? So there should be a better way to handle these events. And dot the Pygame dot down. Right. Okay. So here if we all the we can do all the stuff here. Uh, if event dot equal to if the key is down only we do this thing. If the key is down, it was See how held keys are get repeated. I think get repeated is much suitable. Um, right, right. Index of so I need to set repeated delays now. So I will get press here pygame dot set repeat set repeat. So I need to pass in the delay and the interval. Delay parameter is number of milliseconds. Maybe the delay is 0. There's no delay. The interval it doesn't do. What if I do mm, table clear call is oh now it's working, but it's too fast now. That's the problem. Fast and the delay is fast. And we can the interval maybe we increase it. Increase the interval in between. So this is now this is, but you can see it goes through the window, even that. So for that, we can actually restrict the move function. Basically, we can fix that. But for that, we need the world width. Yeah, we just need the world width. So here we can. So this is like the size of the width of the. If the so this would be the new, that is if 1 is less than greater than or equal to greater than x3 plus greater than the world. And this could work. X1 is less than, yeah, if x less than 0 or if plus the width of the rectangle, it was greater than well width, we just don't do the update. So here we need to pass in the width of the go. So you can see it doesn't go any further. Like even if I hold down the button, it go any further. So it stops there. So we have fixed that. So it can't go. Even if I hold the button, it go because of the so that's okay. Prevents there. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to be able to shoot something like projectile onto the screen. So how can, so I think we need to create another class called projectile. Then needs to have initial x y position, and it basically needs to go the top of the screen or collide. So we also have a size So with white, and then a color. So the color would be the game dot. So it would be white. Then the height would be like 5. Yes, is white, and then color is color of the projectile. We even have a speed like 5. So we would have a speed. So how fast the projectile would be, basically have that one. Then what we need to do is to update the position. So in update position, we need to move upward from this. So the self.y should always equal to be minus by the speed it's moving at. Then and if the self.y is less than 0, then we can even say the live is true at first, but afterwards false, because is no longer on the screen. So when the live is false, we remove it from. So the projectile is a part of the player. So the player can fire a projectile. So the player might have like projectile the array. So the player has a function that says it to fire. So whenever player fires, player creates new projectile. And then here we need to give it this. So starting position is the coordinate of the, but it should be with the offset of like offset should be like in the middle of the play. So it would be the x coordinate as so it would be like the width of the player divided by 2. We would add the offset here to the x coordinate so that the projectile always starts in the middle of the play. The y coordinate would be the same. So then we add to the list of projectiles. Okay? And basically we can draw the projectiles as well. So drawing the projectiles, actually we can do it here. So and here we can actually do what we did with the player. We can draw, create again get text, then yeah, we need a surface to draw. So we surface, then again the draw the surface, self dot color, and then the red. That way we can draw the projectile. So here we draw the player, but we can also draw projectiles as well. So for draw j in self dot projectiles, if the projectile is Okay, so if it's not alive, not project is, then we skip to the next one. Otherwise, we draw. So how do we draw? We just simple as that, and then we can do this whole thing, and then we can basically draw the projectiles as well. And here, if key is k, the z is pressed, then we just play dot fire. It would create like a projectile. So here we just need to draw projectiles, but we also need to update them as well. So we need to call in the update function also, so that they update their yeah, we need to pass in the surface as well. So here we need surface, then the draw function we need to pass surface, and in projectile we need to pass in this. Okay, so when I press the Z key, nothing happens. Let's see if this so the key is pressed, but when the player.fire function calls, and we append the projectile into the array, we draw everything. It's not alive, so if it's not, uh, I will just print this thing. Oh, I see. Because the color is supposed to be white, so in the background you can't see it. Okay, so now it kind of works. You, you can see yeah, but you can like heat and so this needs to be regulated. So this happens because of our this set repeat thing. So the set repeat is what's causing the projectiles to be multiplied. So what we need to do is what we need to do is by so if I can remove this when dot type Pygame event key down key, you can put it in. So that doesn't. The set repeat thing, yeah. I don't know how. So for the time being, like so another problem is the size of the projectiles array every time fire. So if it's not alive, we need to do something, remove it from array so that it doesn't get. So we need to see how we can delete that. Python. But we can use the index. So what enumerate gives a value thing, and then then we continue. See the size of the free time. Here we can layer dot so right now there's about, and you can see it reduces because it deletes everything. Again, 5 projectiles at one time. I think we send about 5 projectiles. 1, 10. So yeah, so that's how it works. So now it's memory efficient. It does all the RAM, yes, everything. So that's good. Now we need to create the enemy. Obviously, this is not going to be like same spacing game, but we will. So I would create like a so our so same as the player, height and color, the speed. I think speed. Let's not do that right now. But yeah, we could have the value. So that creates like a basic. Yeah. So here um see. So we have enemies. We need to draw them to update the position every frame depending. So I want them to slide from end of the screen to the other end and switch, go back and so how can I define, but I think it's the same logic that we, but it's going to be a bit more involved because not controlled by one, it's automatic. So here we need to say the direction that the I think. So we don't need the argument here. Direction. So if it hits the left, it needs to change direction to the opposite. So what we can do is we can say self direction, not self dot. So what this does is it basically flips the direction. Basically, just that and then return, and then self dot x would be x would be, and yeah, that's how we would do that. Then we have move, then we have draw. The draw function is simple like in projectile, but I can see now we can actually, there are certain duplicating functions that we can refactor. I want to keep the code a bit simple for now, then later we can refactor the code, fix some of these getting logic. Draw is them. So this is the enemy. Also, I can create like a class method. So basically, I need to initialize this at random, them at random. So maybe I would create a function. Then need like a size, say like 10, and it would be random. So it would use the random, because I need the XY should be random, the it could be random, color could be random, speed could be random too. All those things we can actually do. Then we have nm array runs on enemy. All right. So this function creates like a random creates a random enemy. So how can we implement? So the x should be a random int of like, so, but we need the width and the, we call this width. So that's the screen width and the height, and then 0 to the width of the screen. Y can be random random to random 0, maybe like 55 divided, that's maybe even 100. But these things could like overlap. This could overlap. I need to pass in like x the whole thing, so I can like, I could do something offset I times, so we will give like a spacing of 20, then 100 plus the offset. So this ensures that not two enemies are in the same. Gap of 5 might be. This is fine. So we need, I mean, we don't need to create 10 enemies like so x and y is okay. Width and the height, I don't know, it like it the color, well, we can do something RGB. Um, can create a small alias function. So return random. Then something like this. That would create like RGB, but we can actually then create a random color. So, so um, then the speed. Speed is also going to be straightforward. It's just random 0, but like 5 and 10. The direction is going to be 2 by default. Suppose we can do something. Of this portrait. I think it might. So direction, we have all of the events, return, pass in everything. The pass it in. That way we actually created like an enemy, and that's good. Now we need to see if we can draw them and draw them onto. So enemies is equal to 5 for now, and we just draw this everything. We draw the players, draw the enemies. The object array, so we can just do draw, but we need a surface in the screen. In the screen. One enemy is missing. Oh, spawn enemy needs the width and of this. Okay, so they have been drawn like in the screen, but further away from the. So 0 to this W, we need to uh, subtract offset. So this offset is actually the width of the enemy. So the width is is we need to define the width and the height first so that we can use. Okay, now everything is like inside the script. That's good. I think we can increase the amount of enemies. Yeah, so and then and also them around them around. So enemy dot move and then draw. So the word width. Well, width we can actually so you can see the enemies are now moving and they're bouncing. Oh, but they're bouncing around like really fast. Like to reduce the speed a little. Okay. So it is 5 to 10. About like one. Oh, it's really slow. About I think this is okay. So now we need to handle collisions. So our projectile needs to hit. If it hits, to delete the player gets a score. So for that we need to actually implement collisions. So these rectangles are drawn, can actually calculate their position and then see if they are colliding with. There is a collision with another angle captured. We can capture that and see if they are any. So for every projectile that is check. So here we can like loop through the projectiles there. If we just check if it's not alive, we don't do anything. But if it's alive and then if it's in something, so we can so we can so I think it would be better if we can couple this thing. Return this whole thing. So then here we just actually we can write this in line. So have rectangle like so that we can do the check. So pure G rect is projectile get rect. So that gives the rectangle of this projectile, and then we can see if the enemy hit another loop. So um for enemy, we need to pass this in. Then if it's hitting, so we need to get the rectangle of the enemy. We do by also again decoupling the whole thing. Get the rect and this whole thing, and then here we just take it like so, and then we can use this down below. So we just need to see if these two rectangles are colliding, and if they're colliding, then we need to do so. Pygame has for rect, there's a thing called collide rect. Test if two rectangles overlap. So how can this? Oh, we have collide list of rectangles. We can use this for now, a bit more simple, but I believe these two methods are more efficient. Collide rect. So project rect dot rect, rect, and then you can see if it's colliding. Colliding. So, but if it's colliding with the projectile, then we need to do something. What we can do is we can say enemy, so it would destroy itself. So what destroy means is it has the self dot. I think it's true because initially, but then in destroy, we basically set the is alive to be longer. Then when we draw the it's not simply again we need the index. We can do so if the enemy dot simply continue because we process that whole thing. We just do. This would essentially remove the enemy from the projectile if it anything. Okay, so Okay, we don't call this. So we need to call this method like every time, I think. We draw the projectiles, we need to check for collisions. We need to pass in the list. Yeah, I think now it should work. So you can see like it collides with the thing and then it destroys it. So move around. So you can see it's veering. Yeah. Three. So yeah, so that this is a simple game that we created in like about an hour. I think it took about an hour, I think. Maybe slightly more. But we can actually implement like a score system. So that's the game, and we can actually do this on this. So I believe this gives like a building block to create in the full-fledged game. But for right now, I think this is a good starting point. In the next streams, we can go on to win this. So yeah, that's the stream, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, and I will see you guys in the next one. So subscribe to the channel and support it. I will see you.